The conference theme is Digital Transformation, Keeping It Real. The conference kicked off looking at the challenges for organisation readiness versus digital readiness. Digital transformation is about significant change to an organisation and its business enabled by technology. Organisation Development Tools Institute is concerned with enabling business and organisation transformation by providing next-generation change and transformation knowledge and tools. The two co-founders are Declan Kavanagh, with over 40 years' experience of the technology sector, and Dr. Miles Sweeney, who has 30 years in research and consulting in organisation change and development. Our innovation partners are Enterprise Ireland and Dublin City University. Every industrial revolution has been enabled by technology innovation. Each changed the way we live and work. This fourth industrial revolution will equally be as innovative and disruptive, with the fusion of the physical, digital, and biological worlds. If you consider the impact of new technology on products and services on one axis, and on the business and operating models on the other, this is where true disruptive transformation occurs. Transitional change normally is associated with the automation of existing product, model, or process, perhaps with some improvements. This is digitization. Incremental change is the day job of IT, enabling continuous improvement in the business. The key to recognize is that we leverage technology for transitional or transformational change, that the impact on the people and the organization system overall expands exponentially. The critical success factor to keep us on target is to remember that transformation is not just an IT program, it's an organization development program and must be managed as such. Let's understand the context of our organization's readiness. Each axis represents the extent of maturity from low to high. The x-axis represents the management dimensions and the y-axis the people dimensions of the organization. If your organization resides in the lower left quadrant, it is unlikely to be able to absorb digital transformation or change without developing both the organization and its people. If it resides in the top right quadrant, then it is likely to have sufficient capability and maturity to leverage technology-enabled transformation. If it resides in the top left quadrant, then its people have the capabilities to absorb significant change, but the management system may need some development. And if it resides in the bottom right quadrant, then the transformation focus should start with people development, so they can productively engage in the transformation. When we talk about maturity in an organization, what do we mean? The maturity level is equal to the functioning level is equal to the learning level. They are all equivalent. Functioning level reflects the nature of the assessed practices and the outcomes. It's associated with the measured performance. Whereas learning level reflects the ability to take on board new or change concepts, ideas, or knowledge, or skills and apply them to achieving aims and improvements. We can use these terms interchangeably. We have some existing models of change. Some are organization leadership process focused, such as Cotter and Lewin, and others are focused more on the individual, such as Covey and Kubler-Ross. They've all contributed to improving our understanding and implementation of change, but they tend to focus on a change event and the change management process rather than the overall organization's ability and capability to change. However, they're challenged when it comes to today's dynamic and unpredictable environment for organizations. VUCA is a term that is often used to describe today's environment for organizations: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Let's look at some of today's challenges. In the political arena, such as Brexit, the move to the right and nationalism, lack of democracy to challenges with democracy. Trade, the US-China trade, free trade and trade barriers. Climate change, technology and digital transformation are all just some of the things that are happening in the world that contribute to VUCA for organizations. Organizations need to be prepared for VUCA with clarity of vision, greater engagement and understanding of the environment, clarity of strategy and actions and contingencies, and finally, agility or change capability. Generation change capabilities and change management processes are required to survive and thrive in today's VUCA environment. We see greater adoption of capability maturity models and frameworks as a means to build strong capabilities in an organization. Capability maturity models are better for today's VUCA environment. They're more sophisticated, they allow for greater analysis and deeper diagnosis of constraints to an organization for change. And most importantly, they allow for calibration of action so that actions are designed at a level an organization, a team, or a group can absorb. They provide an action roadmap and they enable high-level detailed maturity assessment. And basically that's scientific measurement. They enable benchmark and shared learning, and they allow for broader stakeholder involvement and engagement. There are many capability maturity models available. They originated in the IT sector because of its inherent VUCA that comes with technology innovation. CMMI, ITCMF, and COBIT are widely adopted for the management, control, and improvement of an organization's investment in information technology. The Organisation Capability Maturity Framework is the first to cover the complete organization system, whereas the PMI model is focused on project management capabilities. There are also many proprietary capability maturity models from commercial organizations. Some are based on a level of research, and many are more biased towards marketing and revenue generation for those organizations. Capability management is the ability to mobilize resources to achieve an aim. Its power is to measure the level of ability, to simplify all the interdependent variables associated with tasks, activities, and processes, to identify relevant priorities for improvement, and to calibrate those actions for improvement while developing the maturity levels. Existing capability maturity determines existing performance and rate of change, which is in effect agility. New or improved capabilities lead to performance improvement and greater agility and ambition. The key is knowing where to focus your organization's aims and context. There are many choices when selecting a capability maturity model. If your focus is around IT capability of the organization, then one of the IT-centric models might suit you best. If your focus is on business and organization, then the Organisation Capability Maturity Framework is worth considering. There are 8 key criteria for selecting a capability maturity model. A reference model and framework should be underpinned by a research body of knowledge. Equally as important is a maturity scale that is objective and normative, not subjective and descriptive. You must be able to access the body of knowledge and the tools in a way that can be adapted and used quickly and understandable to any professional without significant training or certification time or cost. Capability maturity assessment is central to the value you get from a capability maturity model. Ideally, you should be able to self-configure and self-manage your own assessments. What gets measured gets improved. Assessment reports should be available quickly, provide the basis for analysis, discussion, and action planning. A structured body of knowledge and framework will have rules, and these should be few and easy to understand. It should be easy to access and use all information and tools of a capability maturity framework, ideally on a digital platform. Costs should be transparent, provide visible early return on investment, and be simple to understand. Many of the existing IT-centric models require significant investment or commitment to membership and can take years to deliver a return on investment. For that reason, though they are widespread adopted, it's mainly by larger organizations. An organization's change capability maturity can be on a continuum between high resistance at one end to agility at the other end. Change management maturity is just one component of change capability maturity. Resistance or agility is not only determined by the people, but equally by the system elements. This means to create true agility, an organization must assess all elements of its change capability and take appropriate action for removing any constraints and improving the overall ability of the organization to absorb change. Like any effective improvement process, it's about measuring the existing change capability, setting a realistic target, understanding the roadmap for improvement, and taking the first guided action. Let's look at one capability maturity framework. We'll take a look at the Organisation Capability Maturity Framework. This framework is based on dynamic systems maturity theory, which is a scientific means for understanding and improving organization systems, how they function, why they perform at a specific level, the nature of their culture and learning and development process. The Organisation Capability Maturity Framework is the body of knowledge, reference model, technique, and tools that enable organizations apply dynamic systems maturity theory to improve their functioning level, or learning level, or maturity level, in line with their specific aims, ambitions, and to improve the success potential for any changes or transformation. The structured body of knowledge is derived from dynamic systems maturity theory. It covers all the organization systems elements and dynamics. There are 15 key dynamics or capability forces and 87 constructs, which are the capability building blocks. The Organization Capability Maturity Reference Model has the only scientific normative maturity scale underpinned by dynamic systems maturity theory, with definitive scientific maturity levels. Like many capability maturity level models, which require significant investment to access, learn, and use their content, a professional can easily adopt and use the Organisation Capability Maturity Framework with just 3 hours of online training, which is free to access. The Organisation Capability Maturity Framework has a suite of standard and user configurable maturity assessments. This means every assessment can be tailored to the specific objectives and the context of each organization. Some assessment scenarios are attached. There are 4 tiers or levels of maturity assessment. The sensor level assessment is a single question at organization level, and that can be used to establish the need or signal the need for change or act as a catalyst. The triage level assessment is a single question with multiple choice answers for each organization dynamic out of the total 15. It's often called an executive assessment. It can be used as a health check across the organization, and its primary function is to help leaders set direction and priorities. It also, every assessment report provides specific and appropriate guidance actions for the measured maturity level. The diagnostic level assessment is used for more detailed analysis and action planning. The specific actions are right down to the detail of each of the 87 constructs or capability building blocks. Deep diagnostic assessment is based on the research and development platform in the Organisation Development Tools Institute. It's only used on exceptional circumstances and it uses 15 levels of assessment. We believe all reports should communicate clearly the measured capability maturity levels and provide both an explanation of the maturity level for each dynamic and construct measured, along with the appropriate action guidance for that level that can easily be put in the context of the organization being measured. It's important that with the reference model rules are simple and easy to implement. The Organisation Capability Maturity Framework has just 3 rules, and each relate to the nature of the action to be taken for the measurement of maturity. Research has identified that the biggest cause of change program failure is taking inappropriate change action. Market research identified that the best impact of a capability maturity model is when it's easy to access and use. Organisation CMF is presented as a self-managed open access digital platform, which is easy to access and use across any role in the organisation. There are many different capability maturity frameworks as outlined earlier in the presentation. There are equally as many pricing models to access and use these models, often with high investment costs and quite long return on investment periods. We believe pricing models should not be a barrier to access and utilization, and for that reason have made the Organisation Capability Maturity Framework an open body of knowledge with clear and transparent cost, effective access to the assessments and the assessment tools. There are many use cases for capability maturity frameworks. Familiarization for an individual or team with best practice and the roadmap for improvement for each capability they are concerned with. A safe, independent catalyst to signal the need for change or enable a dialogue or discussion on the need for change among stakeholders. The information provided from a maturity assessment can enable a safe and productive discussion and enable alignment and consensus on the target issue or opportunity. Whether it's a single specific change or transformation program, capability maturity assessment is a powerful benchmark measure to measure progress through the journey of the improvement or change program. The body of knowledge and maturity model define and influence how the organization system functions and its learning levels. It's underpinned by the single dynamic systems maturity theory, which can be used to explain and guide performance change and improvement across all dimensions of the organization, whether it's collaboration, building towards a highly integrated and collaborative organization, or agility, building from a position of high resistance or inertia towards proactive and regenerative response. It can be innovation, building through the phases towards real disruptive innovation, or productivity, enabling the organization to get to a level where there is regenerative automatic productivity improvement built into the system and to the people. It determines and influences the leadership and the culture of the organization. In the context of this presentation, we talked about organization readiness and try to draw out the difference between digital readiness, which is often concerned with how do you manage IT, whether it's managing it like a business, managing the capability, and getting investment return from investment in IT. The key difference is outlined here in this visual indicator. Thank you for your attention.